We already had a couple of webinars about WiaTag application, and today we are digging in and looking at a specific functionality that is related to remote control. First of all, I'd like to show you this web page that helps you to understand why would you ever need to have a remote control on WiaTag app. So on the left side, I'm showing you someone who is using the platform, right? And that can be an end user who can be a boss of the company, or it can be probably a parent. It can be also a fleet owner, but you know, two other scenarios is that we are talking about people tracking, personal tracking. In this case, it can be a role of a boss or a parent. And on the other side, we have someone who is using the WiaTag, and it can be an employee or a child. And of course, both of them should be happy. On the role of the WiaLong user, to make a parent or boss happy, we want to give him a remote control on the WiaTag application. And the child or the employee, they shouldn't worry about all the settings of the application, when someone is tracking them, when someone is not tracking them. It should be all done remotely, so that no one like their employee or child doesn't even notice anything. So on the background. This is the idea of the remote control, at least one of the ideas. There are some other applications, but this is probably like the main idea of the remote control. And how is it implemented? It's implemented via commands. So this WiaLong user sends the commands to their app from the WiaLong main interface, right? It sends the commands to their application itself, and the application reacts to these commands. Nothing would work if we don't use the password, because this employee or this child, they shouldn't be able to interfere with the app settings. And the only way the boss or the parent can control it is by setting up the admin password. So that's why it's very important to know how to do two things: how to activate remote control and how to set admin password. And this is our agenda, so we'll start with these two settings. And then we'll talk about sending commands, right? The remote control itself, how it's implemented, which commands can be sent to control the WiaTag remotely. So let's start. Here are the instructions on how to activate remote control. So I believe some of you may have the WiaTag application installed right now, and if in case you are one of these people, you can even open it right now and follow the steps. Open settings, then you will choose global settings, then you will choose remote control, and then you will activate it. And by the way, there is a little hint that you can share the configuration. Just click it and send it to your email or chat. Just do it and then forget about it, because I will talk about sharing configuration much later, but I will mention it in the future. The most important is that once you click the remote control button, you activated remote control, and now you can send the commands from the main interface of the platform and do different actions, like turn on the service, turn off the service, start tracking the user of the WiaTag, or stop tracking the user of WiaTag. Well, as we mentioned, nothing would work if you don't set admin password. Then this child or employee, they will be able to interfere. And for example, you want to track the child, but then he goes to the app and he will think, I don't want to be tracked, and he'll just turn the service off. To prevent it, you set the password with these actions. You again going to global settings, right? Opening settings, clicking on global settings, choosing admin password, and then setting up this password, right? When you do this, it's very important to remember the password itself. And it's also important to make sure that you choose view only, because that means that the child will not be able to edit any settings. he'll only be able to see it, or the in-play. The user of the WiaTag app will not be able to edit anything. Okay, looks like it's clear, but then put yourself in the shoes of this person again. So let's say it's not even about tracking a child for his own safety, but it's about workforce management and tracking the employees. And most likely you have more than one. And in this case, these steps that we just looked at, you would need to do the steps for each of this employee, for each of the WiaTag applications. A little bit inconvenient, so we want to help your life easier, and this is why I'd like to show you another way to activate both remote control and password at the same time. This is now possible. It's a pretty new feature. It's young. It's less than a month we released that feature. We allowing you not just generate QR code, I'll explain what it is, but we allowing you to generate the QR code with which is pre-configured, and part of that default configuration is ability to activate remote control and to activate the admin password. So right here, you will just type the password for this employee or for this child, and then you will click this button, and then you'll click generate, and here's the code. Then you can send this code to the WiaTag user himself, or you can ask him to scan it, or you can print it for him and ask him to scan it. But even if you send this code to the person, he would need to save it in the gallery of his smartphone, for example, and then use it to log in. Okay, so the most important idea of this QR code is to simplify the login of the user to the WiaTag and like start being tracked. So as you see, like to generate it, you should type the unique ID, type the password, select the mode. We'll actually do it together with you in the second part of the webinar. And when I'm saying together, that means that you can do it at the same time. If you have like two screens or two monitors in front of you, that's probably even perfect. You can do it online with me. Now, also how it works here, if you printed it, right? Then what will be needed, you open the WiaTag app. So let's say you just installed it, you never used it before, like your employee or a child. So then you choose QR code on the login page, and then you scan this code, and as a result, here you go, you open the app, and it's already, it doesn't ask you for the username and password, and it's already has the admin password. The only step that the person will need to do is one time click this activate service, start tracking button. Once he does it, he won't be able to turn it off without typing the password. So that's the idea. Now, I think it was enough theory for you, and the only part that is missing from the theory is what actually can be done in terms of sending commands. So which commands can be used to remotely control WiaTag? Sorry for the typo on the slide. So you see two lists, one for Apple iOS version and another one for Android version. And the list of commands for Android version is longer by 3 commands. This is related to different structure of two different operation systems like iOS, Android. It's not possible to query snapshot from their iOS version of WiaTag, but pretty much anything else is the same. Okay, so let's see the 7 commands. You can start the service, you can start tracking the WiaTag user, or stop tracking. This is the first command. And send position means that you can send a particular address as a link And you can do it also along with some message, some description of what this address is and what the person who is using WiaTag should do with this address. Should he deliver some pizza to this address or something else? So that's what can be done. And then we have number 3, query position. So by sending that command, you will get a new message. You'll get a new message from the WiaTag app with the address. So you will know the latest position, the latest address where the WiaTag user is located, maybe where your employee is located, where your child is located. Then command number 4, it's called torch. In fact, it's all about controlling the flashlight of their smartphone. So by sending that command, you can turn on the flashlight on the smartphone or turn it off. Command number 5, you can send message to driver. This will work only if the chat setting, like the chat itself, is activated, and that was covered during the last webinar, like just 2 months ago in August. So feel free to watch the webinar WiaTag Essential Features and learn how to activate the chat. So if it's activated, you know, like you're sending that command, sending that message, and the WiaTag user will receive it, and he will be able to respond via chat. Then the most probably interesting commands is number 6 and 7, requesting configuration and uploading configuration. Why would you ever want to do that? Of course, you want to do it in order to change to make some changes in the configuration and then apply these changes. So first, you are requesting the configuration. You are receiving all the information of how their app is configured. Then you make changes remotely, right? And then the same way, remotely, you're sending the file. And for example, this way, you can remotely activate the battery or remotely activate the chat. Another way to deal with the task of changing the configuration of WiaTag remotely is to share the configuration. Remember, earlier I told you that when we are looking at their global settings, remote control, you have an option to share configuration. And I ask you to actually click this button and share configuration with yourself, like sending it as a message to your phone or sending it to your email, doesn't matter how. But if you do that, this is the way you can see the current configuration of your own application. Then command number 6 doesn't need to be sent, and you need only to make some changes and upload that configuration to the app, right? So you already have that file that you can change and then attach it to the command settings and send it. So this is the list. We probably won't have time to cover all of these commands and show you particularly how it works, but we definitely have time for some of this. And it's time to practice with commands creation and execution, and to practice also a little bit with activation of remote control and admin password, specifically by generating QR code. So let me pause sharing the screen for a second. Okay, so I resume sharing, and you see my screen right now. It has some units, right? I actually probably even don't need these units. What I want to do, I want to create a new one by copying, for example, this unit. And when you create a WiaTag unit, you give it a name, you choose device type WiaTag, you choose the unique ID, and you choose the password. So specifically unique ID and password will be needed to generate QR code and make it so much easier for me to log in to WiaTag app and start using it. So this is the very first step that I recommend you to do. And I click OK to save this unit. Okay, and I immediately see it on the monitoring list. But as you can see, there are no messages. It's completely new unit. Now, I'm going to WiaTag.com, the QR code generator site. And I'm typing unique ID and password. The same one that you just saw in the unit properties. I choose active mode because this is the one that has no delays with seeing the messages, like it's completely online tracking in terms of getting the data. And it also allows me to see very frequent updates. And then I open advanced settings and I'm typing the password. So this is the admin password. It's not the same that this one. This is the password that your employee or your child shouldn't know, but you should know. And only by knowing that password, you can make changes in his WiaTag settings. All right, this is the one that prevents the child or the employee from, for example, stopping the tracking service when you want to track him. So I will type something very simple like, and okay, let's type 1, 2, 3, 4. Very easy, right? And I also want to activate the remote control. Okay. So I generate that code, and then I literally right now looking at the login page of my WiaTag app and clicking QR code and scanning it. And I'm already logged in. I'm not showing it on the screen, but definitely that is what is happening. And I'm also activate the service. I need to do it just once. Yeah, and believe me, that should be enough in order to then not be able to make any changes. So if I will try to stop tracking myself, I'm not able to do it anymore. So you still need to control the very first time activation of the service, but then like manually control, get their smartphone of your employee or child and manually turn it on. But then everything else can be done remotely. So you see this unit, it goes online, right? And then you can watch it on the map. Just clicking this button, changing the zoom level. Also, you see this mini map of WiaTag new. Now I want to open the mini map of WiaTag test. And here you see the latest updates 22 seconds ago. And you see that unit is online. Now, what about commands? Since I copied this unit from another one, I already have some commands. But let me show you the way to create a new command and show you the settings of some most popular commands. So we're going to the properties of the unit, okay, and we're going to commands tab. Now, let's say I want to create a new one, so we don't need all this. I want to create a new command, and I want to make sure I have a command that allows me to control the service, the most basic command. So start tracking, stop tracking. The type of the command is called the same, start, stop. And then the channel that should be used is virtual. That means even if the tracker is offline by some reason, like whenever it's online, the command will reach it and it will be executed successfully. Now, there are additional parameters here, like start service, stop service, but you don't have to use it now. If you leave it as it is, without making any other changes and click OK and save it, then you have this icon, right? It's called monitoring option commands. It allows you to send the commands. By the way, if you don't see it in front of your unit, that means that you need to click on these 3 vertical dots, monitoring panel customizer, find it in the 3rd section in the 4th section that is used to make some actions like sending the commands, right? And activate it on the 1st column right here. So now you can send the command. I click it, I click next, and then I decide what do I want to do, start service or stop service. So at this moment, I want to stop the service. And I want to stop the service just for 1 minute. That means that in 1 minute, the service will be activated again, and I will start getting the messages, okay? The same way, you can decide to start tracking someone just during the next 1 hour. But later in 1 hour, you will stop doing it. This can be done also with the purpose of saving the battery of the smartphone. So you want to track a child, you want to know where he is just during one next hour, do it just during one next hour. So that will, again, like save the battery of the smartphone of this child. Let's look at some other commands now. So we go to commands, let's press plus button, and let's open a command type, right? Let's, for example, use the command query position. There we go, so we name it. Again, we use the channel virtual and click OK. And let's also create a couple of others. Like here we have the command send position. Okay. Again, virtual, saving, and let's test 2 of them at the same time. So now when I click at the execute command button, I have the list of the commands and I need to choose one of them. So let's first execute query position. It's simple. It's just requesting the latest data, and you see the new message comes in immediately, like 1 second ago now, 6 seconds ago. Of course, my position doesn't change, but yeah, it still works. So now executing command, and you want to send the position. So here, additional action is required. Which position do you want to send? Which address? You can use latitude and longitude, or you can show that position on the map. You can, of course, search for the address, or you can, choose one of the geofences. I believe no. Let's just choose the point on the map. So this is the address. You click OK. You have the correct latitude and longitude. You can call it ABC store. Deliver me pizza. Okay, so giving some order, and then you're sending it. So again, in order to receive that address, it's important that the chat option is activated. Otherwise, there is no interface on the WiaTag app to receive that information.